Discussing cybersecurity. In Sioux City tonight, the former director of the National Security Agency said the United States needs to, quote, think very seriously, end quote, about technology threats. General Paul Nakasone, who's a retired four-star Army general with nearly 40 years of military experience, was the keynote speaker at tonight's Siouxland Chamber dinner. Nakasone addressed the transformation of technology, especially with cybersecurity and the rise of artificial intelligence. He also talked through geopolitics and how all eyes are on China and concerns over TikTok.
If we're comfortable with an app where that information from your cell phone is stored in a foreign country, an app where a foreign nation can understand where you are at any time of day, and an app that's able to provide information and news stories that might be, favorable to that country and not to our own, I think we have to think very seriously about it.
Every year, the Siouxland Chamber chooses a speaker that they believe can give more insight on relevant issues in today's society.
Every year, we endeavor to get someone who is timely, topical, and compelling. I can't think of a subject that's more timely than artificial intelligence, and that's his area of expertise. As the former director of the National Security Agency, as the former director of U.S. Cyber Command, he is the perfect keynote for this time and this era.
Over 1,000 people attended tonight's event.